Welcome to 5-Star Weekly. MLS has sold out. Just kidding. But a seismic change is coming. We get all that and more coming up. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. To the show, 5-Star fam, I'm AJ, and this is Michael, and we have a lot to get to, but before we do, let's give some big shouts out to our ever-growing and loyal Patreon fam. Thank you very much, notably to Gavin, Jordan, Niall, Andrew, Chris, Nick, Jeff, Patrick, and Tom. Thank you guys so much, as always. But let's get into the news. And this is probably the least notable of them, but you know, it is notable. So we want to give the flowers when they are needed, and yes, some international call-ups for some of our players for this international break. Miggy, Dominic Chongqui, Ronald Hernandez, Alexei Moranchuk, Bartosz Slisz, and also Cooper Sanchez got called up to their respective national teams. Sanchez got called up to the U17s for the U.S. men's national team, or youth national team, whichever you want to call it. Basically the same thing. So yes, congratulations to them. And yes, kind of a little bit of a qualifying window for some teams. It is, unfortunately. Yeah, some of the other teams, they don't really. They've already not qualified, unfortunately, and so there's not really, they just kind of have some competitive, or not even competitive. It's just exercise, really. But the season's over for them, so they just kind of keep it going, and why not? It's no harm, no foul. But congrats to them. Next bit of news is, it's a big one. Atlanta has an NWSL team now. And it will debut in 2028, and that is the women's team for those that are unaware of NWSL. But they will play at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But the NWSL commissioner, Jessica Berman, officially welcomed Atlanta to the league as the 17th club. Arthur Blank has spent $130 million to, I believe, anyway. Wait a minute. Was that correct? Hold on. Give me 1 second. $330 million into the expansion side is what he says he will. But the fee was $165 rather. Yeah, got a little confused with a little bit of numbers. But either way, it is huge news, and yes, Atlanta was rumored to have an NWSL team for about a couple of years, maybe as like the next team in NWSL, but it finally has been announced. AMBSE, or Arthur Blank's, kind of umbrella company, will operate the team, and it will very notably be that Blank says this franchise will be from the floor up. They'll be hiring a ton of people, and it won't be on the backs of Atlanta United. It will be done separately with separate resources and a separate commitment to soccer, but specifically for women's soccer, he said. And there will, he won't be the only owner that owns multiple soccer clubs in the city that they actually lie in, I guess, for lack of a better term. But Portland, Orlando, Kansas City, Houston, LA have both NWSL and MLS clubs. But I think also something that's going to be interesting is that the apparently anyway, reportedly that the fans will have the say a little bit in the name of the club. And so that's according to Allison Mastrangelo. And it took about 9 months to name Atlanta United. It'll be interesting if it's going to be United or if it's going to be something, kind of bespoke to the NWSL team. It seems like that is kind of the pattern in NWSL, but either way, I mean, there's a little bit more to get to, but I just want to get your initial thoughts, Mike.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's such a great thing to see NWSL come to a major market like Atlanta finally. We've been, pining for this for a while now, and it's finally here. Well, in a couple of years. So I'm excited for it. It's a little interesting that they'll be at Mercedes-Benz. I mean, that is just easily going to be one of the best venues in the league for NWSL. I mean, it's one of the best venues in MLS. It's one of the best venues in the NFL. It's excellent. So, that's amazing that they're on that massive stage. They can really elevate the profile of the league too when you play in a stadium like that. Mm-hmm. So that would be exciting. We're gonna have to pack that place. I remember being there for the She Believes Cup in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I mean, going for the Team USA women's team versus Japan, where we won. That was a awesome game. Atlanta showed out. American Outlaws, everyone was there. Really packed it. It was a great time. I hope we can do the same thing with the local team. So that would be awesome if we can do that. It seems like the groundswell of excitement from what I've seen on social media indicates that there probably will be a massive showing. So I'm hoping that that's the case. I put in my reservation for the deposit, for the season tickets. So, if you haven't yet, they have an offering of that out. I don't know if it's still available. Who knows? But I assume it is. So, yeah, go get yours if that is something you are interested in doing. But yeah, you can be a founding member of another team. If you already are one with Atlanta United, you can add another one to your list of things. And eventually, if Atlanta gets a third NHL team, that'd be another one I'd like to be a founding member for. So, so yeah, that's an amazing thing. And lastly, I'd be remiss to leave out. What an opportunity to have high-level professional female soccer in this city that I can take my girls to. I have 2 daughters and a son, and my 2 daughters would be, more than delighted to be able to grow up in a city that has that they can go to and watch at a regular basis. So, like I said before that, we would watch, Decatur FC, and we'd watch when the United States women's can come to town, but, it wouldn't be as good. So, as consistent or as good. So I'm just really happy that we're going to be putting our foot forward there. I mean, Atlanta is the mecca of soccer in the United States. We needed the complement to the men's side here as well. And now that has been completely filled in. And I think we're pretty much full-fledged 100% soccer HQ, baby.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be amazing. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it will be right after the 2027 Women's World Cup. But, yeah, I mean, it's amazing for not only, women growing up in Georgia, but, yeah, it's going to be, for all the fans and the, prospective fans, the future fans of, the NWSL team. It's just going to not only grow in Georgia, it's going to grow nationally, because I have no doubts that the way that Arthur Blank operates, his clubs, is that he's going to strive for the best. And, I think in a league that, yes, has considerable resources, but I mean, it's just going to be he's coming in as the Yankees of the league. I mean, I think I'm
excited to see what kind of players we pull. That'll be exciting.
Exactly. I mean, it's going to be the best of the best. I mean, and it's not going to be that expensive, honestly. And that's probably, from a business standpoint, why he's also doing it. I mean, not only from that aspect that, I mean, even Michael Parkhurst, he tweeted out, or X posted, if you want to call it that, that, he basically is I'm gonna find it real quick just so that I quote him correctly. But
find his excretion.
Yeah, excretion. Well, that's quite the word there. But
that's the verb for posting on X.
Excretion. Right? Oh man, wild. Yeah, I hope not. That seems weird to say, and I refuse to repeat that ever again. But what he did say, though, maybe I just search him, because it's not popping up. But as far as my what do you call it, my bookmarks, but he, for a lack of, there we go. Okay, so he tweeted out, Arthur Blank again showing why he's the best owner and human being in sports, with the hands raised. So yeah, I mean, it's just, it is that. I mean, it's not only for business game, which, I mean, sure, yes, it is absolutely for that as well. But I mean, this is, I think with an eye on, I think, growing Atlanta as well. And it's just, incredible. But yeah, as far as the other things that he has said, that's, yeah, he definitely wants to do everything that they can. So they, quote, we'll do everything we can to make sure we build a world-class training facility for the women that will be equal to none. We're going to do some conversion work at Mercedes-Benz Stadium to make sure they have world-class facilities that they're entitled to play on and the fans will enjoy. So we couldn't be more excited about it. Also, he says, we want to duplicate that, being the success Atlanta United has had in the NWSL, and have that kind of success. And he went on and said that there is no finish line. It's the best or nothing. It's a matter of resources. It's a matter of building a culture, bringing in people early so they can study the market, get in touch with the market, understand what women's soccer looks like in the greater Atlanta metro area, throughout the state, and beyond. So, yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I think that's, those are those things that you want to hear. They're definitely saying the right things. And, I mean, I think as far as, again, like, just resources for an NWSL team is just going to absolutely just bewilder the league, I feel like, when they actually come in. So, yeah, incredible stuff.
So you talked briefly about naming rights. I know a lot of people online seem like they want to do the Atlanta Phoenix for the NWSL team. Mm-hmm. If they're going to do, right. But I will say, if you Google it, there is a Atlanta professional women's touch football team called the Atlanta Phoenix. So don't necessarily want to just crap on someone who already exists. So that, but
it is true.
Maybe you work out a deal. Who knows, what's going on with that. But, that's just something to keep in mind.
Right. And, I mean, if you pick the Phoenix as a name, you kind of can have similar colors, if not the same colors. And I think that, a red, a gold in that, I think will still
I think you're going to see the very similar colors to Atlanta United and the Falcons for this team.
Right. And I think, and it could be, we have no idea, but I think there is as well an aspect that, with the Atlanta Beat, that, was a team for women in Atlanta, kind of that is very, very apropos. And, that aspect kind of from the ashes of another one, comes, possibly an even greater one that will stick for longer. I think that's kind of the,
Atlanta Beat. If you guys didn't catch the article that Atlanta United VIPs put out over on our Patreon, that had some interesting history. Some very notable names that played for the Atlanta Beat that I wasn't aware of. So very impressive stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's even, like Cindy Parlow-Cone that, was part of it as well.
Carly Lloyd, I believe, too.
Yeah, Carly Lloyd. Yeah, it's, the icons of, women's soccer is really just insane. But, so yeah, and definitely we will be covering it when it happens, God willing, and fingers crossed, all that, because, it is a ways away. But, so next up, in the flurry of news this week, and we're kind of at least glad that there is some news in the, in this kind of lull, when it's,
like it all comes at once, right? When it rains, it pours, in a good way in this case.
For sure. And especially when there's an international break, the MLS playoffs are on pause. I mean, it's a very good thing that, things are happening. And so Tata Martino was introduced as Atlanta United's head coach officially in a press conference. He sat alongside the CSO Chris Henderson, and yeah, touched on a variety of topics. And I think, before we get to that, he did also do a one-on-one interview that was an exclusive for Atlanta United with Joe Fryhofer, and it was on the YouTube. And I think one of the highlights was that, well, he was congratulated by a lot of former Atlanta United players, notable five stripes like Parky, Garza, LGP, Tito, and others. And they basically just said how happy they were for him to rejoin the club. And I mean, when you hear those names too, it's just like, yeah, it's like those are players that love this club. It's, guys that have time and again, I think, either on social media or just, their time on the pitch, their time with the club, have shown that they're all about, Atlanta United doing well. And yeah, it's they definitely keep tabs on Atlanta United still. You can see the likes of LGP and definitely Parky, Garza liking a lot of Atlanta United's posts still. And it's just, commenting, all that. But either way, I feel like that just warmed my heart and really, really loved hearing that. But yeah, some of the notable things there, I've said notable a bunch in this episode already. Go ahead and drink, guys. But yeah, he mentioned that reuniting with Miggy was definitely something that is, I think, kind of near and dear to him. He loves Miguel. He has hung out with he and his family in Atlanta, where it's just like outside of Atlanta United. And it's been that was probably like last year, I think, if I recall, on social media. So but he said, quote, "Our intention is to try to get the best version of Miggy, and yeah, because he not only has a big commitment to Atlanta but the national team in a World Cup year, so we believe that he can be a leader on the field, and our goal is to surround him with other players." So yeah, that's a huge thing there. I won't go through every single thing before you comment, Mike, but I do also want to mention that, yes, when he was asked about Joseph Martinez, that yes, he did pretty much state that there were strikers on the club already that, he seems like that's not a position that the team is looking to add, and that, there could be insinuations that maybe Jamal Tiare's option is going to be picked up. It could also be, a little bit of posturing to make sure that they have leverage. So that's, yes, it's not a thing where, Jamal Tiare feels like he's frozen out. But, also wanting to, kind of give Latte Lat a kind of vote of confidence too. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. But, with those first two things, what are your thoughts on, his comments on Miggy, his comments on Joseph Martinez, which also he did mention, before you jump in, is that, yes, he did have some conversations with him, but he, has not, I think he's talked to Joseph about, taking the job, and there was a congratulatory thing. But other than that, he has not spoken to him about the striker position. So, your thoughts?
Yep. So clearly, Miguel Almiron is going to be the centerpiece in which they build this team around. That seems to be the case. At the very least, he's going to be the leader on the field. So, look to see that. I mean, we kind of knew that kind of already, that was going to be the case, but this is kind of solidifying that. And that's fine. Even if, perhaps he ends up not being our best player or most, impactful, he still can impact the game in other ways. And I think, if they want to peg him for leader, and captain and regular, guy who is Mr. Atlanta United, I think they could get there. He didn't really show it last year, and the times previously in 17-18, he was he just was nose down, did the job, and then smiled afterwards, and everyone loved him. He wasn't necessarily like the fiery, outspoken, because that was Jose Martinez's role. So, I mean, if he wants to kind of step into that role a bit, I mean, as kind of the seasoned player on Paraguay, he is the seasoned player here now. Like, he is the veteran expert, right? Trying to guide the next crop of people into the next generation. Like, I want to see him be able to make that stride forward. He's like, you saw a little bit in the Rooted in the Stripes documentary in previous season, where he would sound like he's trying to step into that role a little bit. You hear him talking, getting fired up, being more vocal. I hope he can do that. And there's a part of me that thinks that maybe he's just not that kind of guy. Like, he's more of just like, he's too nice to be like the intense, energy kind of leader, charismatic type of, guy who gets everyone fired up. I don't know if he's exactly that guy. Not everyone is. You don't have to be that guy, and a very good player, or vice versa. So who knows? If they want to put their eggs in that basket, I hope it works out. I hope it makes sense. I think at the very least, he's going to be a competent leader, especially if we focus more on South American hires, which seems like we're going to go back to that well quite a bit. From what was in the press conference, obviously he said we're not going to go full Latino on our team, but we're definitely going to go back to that. And I think, that's good. You said the spine was composed of Latino players, and that's good. And so that perhaps is what we might see again. I'm not opposed to that. Again, my opinion is that whatever it takes to win is what we should be doing. Doesn't matter what the team looks like at that point. So I'm on board. I'm willing to try it. We brought him in because clearly the club's willing to try his ideas. So let him cook. We'll see what he does. And it seems like a lot of 2017 and 18 is going to be, he said, obviously the league evolved, things have changed, but he still is largely saying he wants to do again what worked. So, with small changes here and there, and it probably is to a degree like what he did in 2018, which is try a more defensive tactic when you have to on the road, when it's a, like elimination game. So perhaps that's something that he's like hinting at, like, you can't just barrel through everybody anymore. It's not as open of games, like there's no blowouts as much as he mentioned. They're more like grindy win games type of, everyone's kind of, teams are always kind of in it. It's never just like a complete blowout, unless you're Atlanta United last year a little bit. So hopefully, we'll see a little bit more flexible Tata Martino, but still holding to his original recipe that largely got him success here in the beginning and continued on to have success afterwards outside Mexico. So hopefully, that will be a recipe for success for Atlanta. And at the very least, hopefully it'll be exciting.
Yeah. And further on the, the bits about the South American spine, and because he spoke about that, but he also did mention, the likes of Parkey, the likes of Jeff Lorenowitz, Brad Guzan, Greg Garza as players that were crucial to, kind of not only the setup, but also, from a leadership standpoint, from, knowing the league. Just MLS veterans that really helped that, along. And, Julian Gressel, Miles Robinson, also, draft players that were able to help massively, in those regards too. So, it's something that, that mix, I think, in MLS does, and obviously has shown to work. As far as, examples around the league as well. I mean, you do see that where, you have a mix of different cultures, but you still have, maybe not a spine, but, a smattering of, those MLS veterans that know absolutely how to win in this league. And it's so important. And, with Tata Martino at the helm, I think it'll be a lot easier to get those guys in, and we will have some questions later on in this episode that kind of touch on that. Before
we move on, I also wanted to touch on Joseph real quick. Yeah, he was in Atlanta recently, as you reported, or as we saw his IG story or whatever it was. And obviously you said he talked to Tata about Tata getting the job. There's a lot of swirling rumors and opinions about he should come back. I mean, we're apparently doing Nostalgia FC. Why not, right? Is what kind of feels like the community. And I try to, at least when I say some of the things I say, I don't always stipulate that this is like kind of community opinion. This is very heavily community opinion right now. That it seems like the community is saying, why not go all into Nostalgia FC? And why not Joseph Martinez? He's kind of the figurehead of that, right? So, yes, his answer was Joseph doesn't fit into the team currently. That's what his answer boiled down to. That doesn't mean anything because the shape of the people on the team can change instantly.
Yeah.
So, he literally just said an answer that leaves the door open. And that's what it is. Like, it's a very political answer. Of course it's political. Of course it, and what I mean by political is like, it's very, lawyery, you know what I mean? Like, it's able to get you out of things if you can't hold his feet to the fire because he technically didn't commit to any hard points, right? And in this case, the hard point being that I didn't say Joseph isn't going to in the plans, or he's not coming in, or we're not looking at him, we're not talking to him. It's more so that
it hasn't happened yet.
Don't have room right now.
Yeah,
you just don't have technically room right now. It's like, well, okay,
right, and it doesn't mean that. Yeah, it doesn't preclude that there's not going to be space opened up if they want to go for him. It gives you options, and it still keeps, like I mentioned, players that are in tow. You're not unsettling them, and basically
exactly
a big proclamation of like, oh, well, I might need to be finding a new club if I'm Jamal Tiare or Emmanuel Latelat. So, I think that's the safe answer there. He's media trained. All these were safe answers. Let's be absolutely 100 about it. But except for this, so the coaching staff he was asked, which coaching, I guess, members are going to be joining from the 2018 staff and, maybe others. Well, he basically said that it's largely going to be the same staff as the first stint, along with his son, which, yes, he said in Spanish. And Chris Henderson was like, yeah, it seems like he understands a lot of Spanish because he laughed before it was translated. But he said that his son is better off here with Tata than back home with his mother or his wife. So it's definitely hilarious. And I think, yeah, I mean, it does leave some coaches up in the air. Probably for most fans, it's like, they don't really know them that well, probably, so they're like, who cares, bring in the winning crop of coaches. But Carl Robinson, Matt Lowry, definitely were a couple coaches that are kind of in limbo right now, so their fate will be still determined. But
didn't Robinson already get let go?
No, he didn't. No.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, both of them are kind of just like, oh, if the next coach wants you, then yes. But also, of course, Rob Valentino is part of that original staff as well. Is he going to be part of it? That's going to be a question too. Yeah, it would just be very, very interesting. But, that's something. If you want to comment on that right now, do so. But
I mean, it's more. It's not bad. Obviously, you're getting guys back who won here already. The guys who supported Tata Martino, obviously, like, they were a winning recipe. It would be less, I don't know, of a like positive outlook if you were to say like, well, it's just Tata. It's not his accoutrement that was here that helped him get there. But no, they're here too. So, just more flame to the positive fire of hiring Tata Martino right now.
Yeah, and it's also what he mentioned that, he is going to prioritize and absolutely is making sure that the culture of the team is, coddled, it's, developed, it's something that he's putting at the forefront of needing to be, at the highest level. And so that's huge. Like that's music to my ears, because that's exactly what we've been harping on for quite some time. And, bringing that back as far as, kind of making sure that the vibes are just immaculate. That he was mentioning, I think in the one-on-one interview, that people want to work, want to go to work. They want to be, that they're happy to go to work and, happy to be around each other. I think that's absolutely what is needed. And, he's, again, saying these right things. But, and another thing as well that asked about the DPs. And he said that, as you expected, that he believes that all three DPs can play on the field at the same time. Was he going to say anything different? And that the club is very satisfied with all three DPs, and that, he is, excited to see that, he can. I think what he mentioned was that he can mold these players, to be better players, because he sees more potential than what they exuded last year. And yeah, he was careful with his words too. He wasn't trying to bash Ronnie Deila or any other past regimes. It was that, yes, he sees the potential here. That's why he came. There is a comfortability, or comfort rather, is the word, in Atlanta, because he knows it, but also that, he sees the talent here, and that he feels like he can make the most of it. So, apparently he had also spoken to, Steven Alzate, the likes of him as well, before, they went on vacation. So,
oh yeah, so that's huge.
Yeah. So definitely some very, very, interesting tidbits from that end. But, thoughts on that before we move on to Chris Henderson's, part of it.
I mean, yeah, just like I mentioned, it's huge that he spoke to Alzate. I mean, that guy must be feeling like, he's the world's falling out from under him a bit. Brought in by his manager and then gone. So must feel a little, like existential to a degree. And hopefully he can bring Steven to an understanding and get him on the same page. Because, we see what happens sometimes. When you get a coach who brings in players and the coach is gone, and the players kind of like, what do I do here now? And then they all of a sudden are, and then they're already looking about where their next destination is going to be or something like that. Right. They're checked out to a degree.
Right.
So that can be. Hopefully, it's the right move to be heading that off now early. I think that makes a lot of sense. And his comments about the 3 DPs, of course, like you said, he's going to say that for the obvious reasons that you mentioned earlier. However, I mean, we can all see, we know how Tata likes to play. Now, when he says he can get them to play, like, he wants to mold them, he wants to do these things, I think what that translates to in my head, my supposition about this, is that he believes he's going to try to do these things. Not that he will. And that, I think, is what's maybe the disconnect and confusion about some of the, the things that he said in the presser, especially to the fans, because when they hear like, I will mold them, I will make the team competitive, and I will do all these things, I'll get the 3 DPs to play together. Like, it's like, I think he believes he's going to try to do that as best he can. And then when it doesn't work, things will change. So what I perhaps expect to see it's a likelihood then, if take what his words were, take them for what they are, I would expect to see that those 3 DPs remain in place for next season, and he gives it the old college try with them. And if he can't get through to them, or if he can't get them to mold to the way he wants, then it's out. because like he said, this is going to take at least a year to get his things in place and ready. Because obviously he doesn't want to force guys out that he doesn't have to. He may not know. Like, there could be. I am not a coach. I don't think like this. I'm not someone who could look into this world and be like, yeah, here's the move you can make to make these players start working well with each other. Maybe he sees that, and maybe he thinks he can do that, and he's going to give it a try. So who knows? Maybe we'll have a 15 plus goals goal contribution type season from Emmanuel Atelat next season because of that. Who knows?
Yeah, and it's definitely interesting. Yeah, because he did say, Tata Martino, he did say that as far as about a year to probably get it right, in a sense that where he feels like it's where he would want to be. But it also, I doubt it's going to be at the deliberate nature that, say, a Garth Lagerwey operated, even though it's absolutely different positions as far as that. But I think there's going to be a shorter leash, and Tata's going to want to implement things probably a lot faster, especially with Chris Henderson mentioning this, saying that why that he trusts Tata Martino. Well, the first bit is that he just worked with him last year, at Inter Miami. But he says, playing philosophy, recruitment, understanding what we have in front of us and what we need to do. The communication has been very good, not just with Tata, but with the entire staff. I have great trust in Tata and his staff, and I think that's a huge bit there. Is that even though they seemingly speak different languages, I think it seems like Henderson can speak some Spanish, and Tata probably some English. They just don't let that on as much. But there is that aspect that they have a great working relationship. They work well together. They're going to be making personnel decisions together as well in collaboration, Henderson said. And so, there will be quite a bit of say in who gets brought on. I think that's been massive for LA United because, I think, anybody that has followed from the beginning, 2017, 2018, you saw the results. And if you weren't there from the beginning, you probably heard about the results. So, it's those results speak for themselves. And it's
exactly as Nick in the ATL said, Tata's resume speaks for itself.
Exactly. And definitely check out his article as well about Nostalgia FC, quote unquote, that we've been accused of in that sense. Or, really the fans calling it, calling it out in a sense. So I don't know. Either way. But, I think with Henderson's, part of the press conference is that it just shows that there is a synergy between them, and that's going to be very, very big going forward, because I don't think we've had that pretty much since the kind of beginning, in the sense that maybe it was just like Tata, with himself and the synergy, and then Boca was like, yes, I'll do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But then it started to rub probably Boca the wrong way, and he probably tried to fight for a little bit more power. This is all speculation, but I think that's probably how it kind of transpired a little bit. Otherwise, how else did it happen? Right? I think we've seen Boca by himself, what that's been. So I think this is all just really positive stuff. But final thoughts on this press conference?
I mean, I wish there was more to glom onto, more meat on the bone for this. But there really isn't. It's exactly what you expected. It's Tata Martino talking to the press, giving very political answers, safe answers, because this is still, the very beginning, learning the team, learning what he believes to be, in his mind, what the expectations will be. A lot of his answers are like, well, what do you expect to do? And he's just like, we'll see. A lot of it is, we'll figure things out, we'll feel it out in terms of getting players in, players going out, what can they expect to do in next season, and how long will it take? Like, these are all just kind of soft answers that don't really give you an idea of what's to come. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. So it is what it is. Like I said, very non-committal, and that's fine. I mean, that's what you kind of expect from a professional coach of his stature. You know, he's been grilled by the Barcelona press, Argentina press. I mean, the Mexican press. I mean, he knows how to handle these things. So, you know, the only thing I'd say is in the one-on-one with Freihofer. What's his first name again? Frank, was it?
No, Joe Freihofer.
No, Joe. Jesus. Yeah, I was just like, yeah, Joe. So Joe, next time, please, like, maybe give him like a chair or something to sit in. Just feels like he was awkwardly standing there. So, you know,
yeah,
give him a break.
Right, and no big deal there. But yeah, I mean, it is also, man, like, you know, like, were you expecting Kobe beef on the you know, the first go around on the introductory press conference? It's like, yeah, I mean, it's the appetizer. They're gonna softball it a little bit. It's not gonna be, you know, I think asking the hard-hitting questions when he first arrives. And so, you know, I get it from your end, and, you know, wanting more to stick onto, more to grab onto. But it's yeah, I mean, you know, I think once we get into the thick of things, you know, maybe with some player announcements, if he's going to be there or not, you know, I think that part would be interesting, because, you know, there were previous times that, you know, some of the coaches were there on player announcements, but I don't know. It's it'll be very fascinating to see. It's if it's just going to be, you know, Chris Henderson and you know, somebody. So we'll see how those announcements actually go as well. I think will be very, very telling. But yeah, let's get to the other news this week. One of the many bits is that starting in 2026, you'll be able to watch every MLS match on Apple TV with just an Apple TV subscription. Obviously, some people are still salty about you know, you having to pay for another subscription. I level with that. I agree. But, you know, it is part of it where, you know, you can watch the whole league in one place. As far as, you know,
well, yeah, but I mean, they'll probably just jack up the subscription cost of the base likely Apple TV, because they are adding, you know, a bunch of stuff, like, you know, to their repertoire, to their serving. So, like, you know, you're getting a robust product, but you are going to probably have to pay a little bit more. So,
right. And pretty much, yeah, anybody that has an Apple TV subscription will pretty much just have to pay for that in that sense. And so it's like, yeah, we'll see how much it actually is. It probably won't jump up immediately. It'll probably be a little bit of a soft launch in some regards, probably a year or two. Yeah, I mean, I think you got to get people in, and so, you know, it's just like Disney Plus, where it's been, you know, kind of varying. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was when it first started. I think it was under $5 when it first started, but it just jumped up, you know, from $10 to, I think, $12 or $13. So, you know, that's been probably 3 or 4 years. And yeah, with everything going up, it is, yeah, hella annoying. I dislike it. I mean, who doesn't in that sense? But yeah, you know, I think in the aspect that you can catch all the games in one place, you know, that like anybody that you know, from yesteryear, where basically you could only really watch your own team. You could basically also get blacked out in your own city. And
oh my god. Oh my god, I hated that so much. Right. That was so triggering.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then, you know, I think it does. I think the only person that probably, or not person, but the only maybe two entities, but ESPN and, you know, Fox Sports in some degrees probably rue that, at least the owners anyway. But because yes, all those highlights and all those, like, that's how you knew about the other teams. That's how you caught some of the highlights. And, you know, it's definitely just, it's a different time now. But you know, now you can, yeah, it's like YouTube. It's everywhere. You know, all the highlights. That's just way smarter, and that's you know, this is the way to the future. And I think this is a step towards that direction, where you know you can actually catch more of the fans versus lock them out. So, but yeah, and onto the next big bit of news is that MLS announced the shift in the competition calendar. So they are aligning with the world's top soccer/football leagues. And
we're burying the lead a little bit here, huh?
Yeah, but you know, it's not. We're not a newspaper. You know, it's we're gonna talk about it when we want to talk about it. So, you know, what are we gonna just pack on the good stuff in the beginning? Like, no, man. Like, you know. So, but anyway, so this is YouTube, and this is a podcast, guys. Like, if you don't know by now, we're gonna talk about this stuff at the climax of the show. But yes. Anyway, so. Beginning in summer 2027, MLS will adopt a summer to spring season format, and making and marking one of the most significant developments in the 30-year history of MLS. This will also be contingent on, you know, MLSPA finalizing an agreement with a transition plan. I think the interesting other bits that we'll maybe get to is, you know, what the other lower leagues are going to do, but they have discussed it with U.S. Open Cup, Canadian Championship, Leagues Cup, and CONCACAF Champions Cup, that you know, there might be some aligning with that. So you know, that will kind of remain to be agreed upon, but also how it will actually work in kind of the transition of that. There will be a season in which there will only be 14 games, and then plus an MLS Cup, and that will be in 2027. So it will go from February to pretty much April, MLS Cup playoffs in May, and then there will be that break, and then July 2027 is when it will start. There will be a mid-December break in 2027, and then it will go through January 2028, and it will restart February 2027, or 2028 rather, and then you know, MLS Cup playoffs in May of 2028. So
the MLS fans need to think of what to call this cup, kind of like how we called the MLS is back, the COVID Cup. We should call this like the Baby Cup or something. Something that's like, you know, because of the truncated season, it's not a real MLS Cup if you win this. Granted, if Atlanta wins it, it will be, but outside of that, yes, it's not going to be real.
100% correct. And yes, it's probably the transition cup. Probably, you know, there's probably something sexier than that in the future. I know. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. You know, we live in those times. So, but you know, as far as the kind of benefits of what they're trying to achieve here, which, you know, there might be some naysayers, there might be some yaysayers, but as far as
listen, the naysayers live in the far north. That's the only thing.
Well, you know, and we'll get to that. We'll get to kind of our reactions to this, but yeah, I'll just finish off what you know, kind of they're trying to achieve with this, and we'll see if we agree or not. But yeah, basically they're trying to, first off, this is one of the big things that they are trying to do is you know, pretty much optimize that global transfer market and align with it, so that yes, they can participate more effectively with the, you know, kind of primary transfer windows in the summer and also in the winter, because previously, well, yeah, there were a lot of obstacles one could, you know, kind of at a base level say to get, you know, the types of top talent in, or even to sell top talent, because yes, sometimes the winter transfer window is really difficult to do business. Some teams just don't even do it. You know, the top teams in the world, I mean, they won't even. They're like, we're not finding value in this this transfer window. We're just not going to participate. So, in that, I think we'll be able to, we're a team that wants to sell top dollar. I don't know if we'll continue to try to do that, but as far as bringing in players and then selling them on, but I think no doubt for some of our homegrowns, we'll probably be in that little bit of a territory where they might be able to fetch a good bit when it's time for them to move on. But player signings, along with the international breaks and those windows, not only for the players playing them, but also for the clubs. Pretty much a lot of MLS teams play through those international breaks, and we recently.
I think I just want to stop you for a second because I just want to say, man, international breaks with Atlanta United. On stream one night, we asked, and I don't remember if anyone could find if we had ever won a game, like maybe outside of 17 or 18.
Well, we didn't play
during an international break.
We didn't play during the international breaks in 2017 and 2018, if I recall correctly.
So
that's been a
I
recent
don't know if we've ever gotten points from an international break, because obviously historically we've been hit so hard by a lot of our high level players leaving for their international duties. So we are left with a lot of backups, and traditionally we haven't been great. And then the backups obviously would a lot of times get shellacked. So, I remember the one, it's often Columbus, it seems like, that gave us the shellacking. So I'm okay with moving on from international breaks, because they have a extreme, that's like, you look at the schedule when it comes out every year and you just immediately write off the international break games, like instant loss every time. Right. It's safe to do that.
Yeah. And I think that's part of that thing where, it will help for a lot of fans in not only engagement, but also new fans, because, this is a product. Let's be real. At the end of the day, this is entertainment. And if you are putting out an inferior product, why would people watch? Why would people tune in? Like, if you're just playing to play, just go ahead and do that. Turn the cameras off. Like, no one will care. And that's kind of the message that they were sending back then. So now, it definitely does bring a little bit more, I think, a heavy onus on, hey, we're trying to absolutely be competitive and, be something of a force in, in the world as far as, a soccer league, a football league. But,
just to add on too, we heard the comments. I think it was like David Goss and Tommy Scoops earlier today, or was it yesterday or whatever it was?
Tom Bogert.
And they had their soccer. Yeah, and when they did their Soccer Wise, they were talking about how a lot of coaches, Wilfred Nancy being probably the biggest one, but a lot of coaches in the past too, have talked about. Even Tata Martino has talked about this. I think it was when he was with Miami. He's like, why are we playing through international breaks? Does it make any sense? It's why are we doing this? Like, why are we? And if you want to be taken seriously as a international, like a substantial league, you need to be on that schedule with the rest of the substantial leagues. That's what Wilfred said, and a couple of other notable coaches throughout the history of MLS. So, this is kind of almost a long time coming. A lot of the coaches, maybe if you are the ownership groups and you are listening to what the cadre of coaches are saying, they're probably, if not exactly in the same pew, they're at least in the same choir telling you need to change the schedule.
Yeah. And Nancy, he did say regarding that, according to Bogert, that's, if they don't do it, there's no logical thought behind the desire of MLS to become a really good league. Simple as that. If you don't make the change, you can talk and talk, but it's impossible, it's impossible people overseas will take us seriously, which, I get that in pretty much most of the senses. There is a kind of like, if I'm using this correctly, a cadre of thought of like, oh man, we really have to make sure that we're impressing the Europeans. Oh boy, Like it is something that
I mean, not impressing is the word. I think it's just be like aligning or like
yes, and
being able to communicate like
yes.
on the same thing. That's probably more what it is. Because again, we're Americans. We're not going to kowtow to Europeans unless we like, absolutely have to for whatever reason. Yeah. So like we would very much rather just be like, we are going to create the path in which now everyone will follow. That's what the American tradition typically is. So we're not going to wait for Europe to take the lead and then follow behind. That's usually not what we do. However, I think the reason we're following quote unquote in line is not so much to go behind but to align. At least that's my take from it.
Right. And it definitely is from the business standpoint of just smart business practices. That absolutely is what needs to be done, in my opinion. And yes, to get to some of the naysayers and kind of what they might be saying is that weather might be a big factor, where yes, in the northern cities it's going to be very, very difficult in November and February, maybe even October for some of them. And yes, I think that's just going to have to March a little bit too. But ultimately, the change will need to happen, for maybe how they set up their stadiums, how they spend the money to maybe, kind of like some of the stadiums in this league where, yes, they have, melting systems of the ice and the snow on the field. And, you have those aspects. Maybe there's more domes in terms of retractable roofs. There's like,
hey man, Denver's making their new stadium. Denver for the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
Maybe. I know they don't, Rapids won't play necessarily, but that'd be nice, an idea, that we have a multi-use like we have in Atlanta. Like it could facilitate that, but because there is going to be a retractable dome for their stadium.
Right. And I think that's well, we won't touch that, but because there's that's a whole different thing. But because I have thoughts on that, but that's just gonna be your way.
Big Denver Broncos fan. Okay.
No, just because of Stan Kroenke and the Rapids and all that. But it's not important right now. So it's but I think the main bit here is that this change will spur more change, and that's where teams will have to adjust. And if the warmer weather teams are gonna just dominate the league or something, because they are more used to those conditions, or conversely, the teams that are very used to very, very drastically cold temperatures, I mean it could be swaying the other way. And I think that's going to be the interesting adjustments that the leagues, not the league, but the clubs in the league will have to make. But also as well, I mean, I think from, I guess the other aspects that, fans might kind of really be bemoaning this is that, okay, NBA, NHL, their playoffs will be at the same time.
But before we move on from the weather thing, I also want to kind of add, guess who, as far as I know, guess who also plays on this schedule? Sweden, Norway, Finland, basically any, like Denmark, all of these Nordic countries that, not so much Denmark, but the other ones get a lot of snow throughout the year. I mean, not like, especially in the fall and winter months. They get a lot of snow. They figured it out. They know how to do it. They aren't stopped by this type of weather inclement. Why can't we do that in our northern states? It just makes sense to me. I mean, Canada also has been able to figure things out. I mean, granted, they play on their schedule, but like they still have to deal with snow. I mean, you saw recently, I saw pictures of a Canadian game recently. It was like a foot of snow on the pitch. It was incredible. And I remember they were saying like the Colombians on the team actually did the best out of everyone. So it's like, affected by cold weather climate, where maybe you come from a warm weather climate. I'm not sure that is necessarily a thing. I think you just need to want it more. I don't think like South Americans are like, I don't know, brittle in cold all of a sudden, or just don't play as well just because they're maybe not used to it.
Small sample size, but we've shown it as well. Versus Minnesota United, our second ever match, and we won 6-1.
I mean, so they're all human beings, and they all have to deal with those extreme climates. It's not as if like, it's not necessarily like, you are a sprinter who grew up and trained only in, like, let's say Atlanta, Georgia, racing against a guy who grew up and has only lived in like Kenya or something, where, like, it's just similar to like, Denver or something, where the altitude is like kind of just very different. The air is different, and they just have a different kind of almost like cardiovascular system at that point. Like they can just run better. Like, it's not like that. Or like the Aztec in Mexico. Like, it's not like that, right? At least that's the way I understand it. So I just feel like you just kind of deal with it. Like, you live in those climates, you deal with it. And if the southern teams like Atlanta goes to play in Minnesota and whatever, like the right before the break, and it's cold, maybe even snowing, just like we did against Minnesota, who cares? Go out and play.
Yep. And it's obviously when you're not a very deep team or a very good team, and you play in those conditions, like say when we were playing in Columbus and it was absolutely drenched and basically pools of water on the pitch. Well, yeah, you use it as an excuse of like, okay, well, that was the reason why we were not able to be good. And ultimately, I think if your team is good enough, you'll find a way, and you'll.
All right, yeah, this reminded me of something too. Remember in the Club World Cup, players playing in the southern United States during the time period in the summer, they were complaining about how hot it is. I'm saying, and I've been saying, if you're quote unquote competing to be the world's best, either whether it be, Club World Cup or World Cup itself, you got to be able to play the game basically anywhere on earth. You got to be able to do that. It's the world's game. You got to be able to do it anywhere on the planet.
And a lot of players have. So it is, I think
it's just the ones that complain. It's like, I'm not sure. Like you need, in my estimation at least. I mean, obviously, I'm sitting here, comfort of my own home, not playing soccer right now. However, like if I was getting paid probably as much as they did, I probably wouldn't complain as much. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think if it's the 70,000 paid player complaining, okay, they have a gripe, because yes, it's not really they aren't being paid buku to be weathering those conditions. So okay, but if a player being paid 10 million is complaining, well then it's the choir is it's the tiny violin, but
it's just like, I know guys who work like utility jobs out in the Georgia summer, and just in incredible conditions, making less than 70. Like, I know guys who do it in the north, in the like the straight up like tundra, right? Like dealing with incredible conditions, not being paid them. It's just I don't know.
Let's not,
kind of whatever.
Right, and let's not harp on that. That's not the only thing that people have gripes about. The playoffs for NBA. NHL, obviously get a good bit of eyeballs. Yes, there might be some overlap, but
there is,
I think ultimately, like, the people that are going to care about what they're, who they follow, who they support, are going to watch those games during that time. And ultimately, it's a little bit of this. It's like NBA, NHL, they have a lot of games in the playoffs. We in MLS, pretty much it's up to 3 games, or it's 1 game, and that's likely going to just be on a Wednesday or a Saturday, I would assume anyway. Now, with this schedule change, it might, there might be some more like Friday games, there might be some more Sunday, Monday games, and just to kind of maximize that kind of TV schedule, so maybe it's not just like, you blow the entire wad on one day like they have been so far. But I think ultimately it's like, yes, you have the big break in January where you're avoiding the Super Bowl, and probably you'll probably avoid the actual Super Bowl in February, most likely anyway. And you have that. You have obviously college football. You have college basketball as well. It's just kind of, I think it aligns in a way that is gonna be fine. I don't think those issues are gonna be that pronounced.
For me, it's the only like conflict there is if the games are airing at the literal same time. That's really the only thing I think. Because if I have two teams I like, I'm probably gonna. But I mean, I know a lot of MLS sickos. Obviously we run a Discord, we have a podcast, we know these people. We know what they do. If they have multiple teams, they get multiple monitors. I've seen it. They post it all the time. So I mean, I don't know if there's going to be as much trouble for that as perhaps people may think.
Right. And they'll sometimes even it's like, man, maybe I won't get into that anyway. So yeah, because we got to keep this moving. So it's basically as well, I think some certain things that we haven't talked about yet, which is that there's a talk about maybe switching to 5 divisions, and that could be very interesting. Possibly about 6 teams per division if it stays like this. I doubt expansion will happen during this time of this change.
Unlikely.
So Caleb Adams on Twitter, he did kind of say that he anticipates the league maybe doing this, where it could be divided like this: Southeast, DC United, Charlotte, Nashville, Atlanta, Orlando, Miami; Northeast, Philly, Red Bulls, NYC, New England Revolution, CF Montreal, Toronto; Midwest, Chicago, Columbus, Cincy, St. Louis, Kansas City, Minnesota; Northwest, Vancouver, Portland, Seattle, RSL, Colorado, San Jose; Southwest, LA Galaxy, LAFC, San Diego, Austin, Houston, Dallas. That makes a lot of sense to me. He also mentioned that maybe you might have to split one of the California or Texas teams to another division, but because obviously LA or just California, Texas are in different time zones, but I don't know. That makes a lot of sense to me in some regards, just because of proximity, from a plane flight. But before
clearly it makes sense. The NHL does almost the exact same thing.
Yeah,
so
a very
clearly
similar,
works there.
Right. And different teams in different cities there slightly, but obviously it's
the general same idea, and it worked well there. So
yeah, and there's that, and it's also the idea would be to play each team in your division, or all that, whatever you want to call it, to make it one table. And so that would be interesting. That's essentially you play each team in your division twice, and every other team, home or away, once, to make it as fair as possible. But obviously it's still not going to be absolutely fair for everybody, but for one table, in which if you finish first in your division, then you get to pretty much get into the playoffs there, and then obviously they'll probably seed it in some different ways. They'll probably try to figure out a way that works for the first year. If it doesn't work, they'll change it, just like Leagues Cup, just like any playoffs in any league. It's changed a lot, and so we'll see what works and what doesn't work. But I think it's fascinating. I think it's been very much needed, because as far as what's the word for the schedule being equal, but it hasn't been. That's why the playoffs existed, to kind of mitigate that. But we just have too many teams in MLS to really make it equitable. But thoughts on that, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense logically to have like a regionally based, table system like that. Like, I mean, like I said, it worked well with NHL. Makes sense. I would just, it's kind of like an insurmountable kind of problem that, you have such a big country and you want to play every team like home and away once to have like a fair table, right? But it's just really, really difficult logistically to make that work for the United States. Nowhere as difficult as like other countries that are nowhere as big. I mean, hell, our league spans multiple countries. There's not many other leagues that do that. It's pretty crazy. So that in mind, if they can make it fair, I'm okay with, because my big thing is fairness. I really want it to be fair, because then it's, you can make it so any kind of like post hoc analysis is always kind of the same every year after year. And like any kind of analysis about, what a team has done in a season can kind of be like either extrapolated or like considered to be like an adequate snapshot of that year. I think that is extremely important. Outside of that, like you have, like there's examples of when you have like a really weak division and then one team just basically only has that division to play in and only plays in that division. They just dominate it, but they're not actually that good. It's just that division was crap. And then there's another very, very deserving team in the other division, but doesn't make it because they're in a stacked division. Like, we talked about this in the Eastern Conference for like last 5 years or something like that. Like if you plop Atlanta United last 5 years in the Western Conference, they probably do better than they did in the Western or the Eastern Conference. So, there's a bit of that going on in my head where it's like, I'd rather it be as fair as it can be. If you're going to do region preferred type of things, because that obviously logistically wise, travel, and just less load on the players. Obviously you think about the players in these things, because like, these are the lives you're talking about. It's hard. This continent is gigantic. It's not country, it's continent. It's different, right? So
it's
like,
countries.
You have to keep that in mind.
It's all that. And it's different climates. It's different time zones. It's absolutely where it's been a headache. And for MLS, and for MLS, for 30 years to have done as well as they have, I think is incredible. It's a very nascent league, a very strong league, I would say. I mean, Messi's here. It's like you have Heung-min Son here. You have Thomas Muller here right now, where these are some of the best players in the world, and it's not even like you can't even dispute that. Like, and it's one of those things where it's attracted those type of those talents, and so.
A little weird you didn't include Emmanuel Latela in that, but okay.
Yeah, right. But so and it's one of those things where there are a lot of aspects that they've had to fight. The haunts of different leagues that have folded in America. And I think they've learned these lessons. They've made sure that they don't. That's why the MLS salary structure did exist. Now, obviously, there is a little bit trying to loosen it so that more talent can be brought in, so that we can be competitive with other leagues. Especially when we are playing them in Champions League and all that. But
I mean, dude, I remember when Rooney was talking about how they didn't even have like chartered private flights.
Yeah.
It's like on an economy plane or something like that. There's like, we have to fly so much across this gigantic continent, and we're not even flying private. Like, what is going on? Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man.
Right, and it's not like they're all like 6 foot plus people, like an NBA team or something, where sitting amongst the people, you're just like scrunched up and for hours and hours. It's a slightly different scenario, but yes, still it is, with all that flying, all that travel, it does wear and tear. But yes, we must move on. So last bit of news, which Felipe Cardenas tweeted out, or X posted. I refuse. But he said, quote...
Makes sense, though.
it does. He said, Tata Martino is looking forward to visiting his favorite restaurants in Atlanta. He has already dined at Argentine steakhouse Sabores del Plata. There's one spot he's looking forward to the most. He said, quote, "We haven't eaten pizza here yet because we don't want to betray Fellini's." I mean, man, like I quote tweeted this. I was like, man, he's an ATLian as through and through. Like, he's got the key to the city in Roswell. I mean, he's eating Fellini's. I mean, I don't know how he feels about La Fonda, but they're always, well, usually anyway, kind of around each other, owned by the same people. There's some of my favorites, like just go-tos, at least every month in a way, in a sense. But the paella at La Fonda is just chef's kiss. When you want some hearty things to stick to your ribs. I mean, he's saying the right things. I mean, Tata Martino, you're a man after my heart right now, and everything you've said since you've been here, since you were here. I mean, I can't fault you. Like, it's just I'm trying to find some stuff, just to find the counterpoint. But, dude, Tata. But anyway, yeah. Thoughts on Fellini's? Have you had Fellini's?
I think I have. It was a long time ago when I first came here, probably like 2015 or something. Yeah. Man, like it's better. I'll tell you what, it's better than hearing a player come here and go, "I really like Atlanta rap," and then like never talk about it again. But that's just, I'm giving Ranchuk a little bit of crap. Yeah, like, I know he's not, but like, it's just, I'm just saying it feels like the PR group for new hires at Atlanta United gives them like hey, you want to enmesh yourself with the local community? Just say you really listen to X, Y, and Z, and then that'll be you're good.
You harp on this, but I don't know. I think he actually is a hip hop fan, and because they gave him the Outkast kit as well. I mean, it's just a weird thing to be a poser about. It's just like, yes, he is. I'm
just saying, man. Yeah. It feels weird as well. It feels contrived. So I'm just saying, I'm on the lookout for if I'm just like, okay, Moranchuk, I know I give him a lot of crap, but it could absolutely be genuine. All I'm saying is, from here on out, if I hear another person come in and say that, I'm just like, okay, now it feels like it's staged. Now it just feels like this is something the PR group tells players to say to get them enmeshed with the community. So hopefully that's not the case. But no, Tata obviously seems clearly genuine, obviously. And it reminded me of when we talked about Argentinian pizza. Mm-hmm. There's a very famous example of Argentinian pizza with Atlanta United, and that's the photoshopped L on Messi's pizza when he stayed home and didn't join his team, and his team got stomped here in ATL. That was an amazing game. That was a fun memory, and man, was that a hell of a meme.
Right, and that was a Tata-led team too, but yeah, neither here nor there. Anyway, that is the news. Longest news segment ever, but let's get to the mailbag, and you guys send in these questions through IG Story and Discord. Please continue to do so. We might answer your questions in the future. We might have to not go and answer every single question, but we will prioritize the Patreon questions. So Nick in the ATL, who is our highest tiered Patreon member, asks in Spanish. So don't butcher, or don't come after me, guys. I'm not a native Spanish speaker, but todos sus preguntas deben ser en español de acuerdo, which basically translates to all your questions must be in Spanish, okay? This is my own fault for saying tiempo when I asked for the mailbag questions.
That's true. You did do that.
Yep, I will own it. But Joseph Better Than Carlos asks, ¿Qué perfil mediocampista necesitamos para ganar un Copa de MLS? What type of midfielder do we need to win an MLS Cup?
What type of? I mean,
it's a tough question. Yes, to be fair, but maybe
type of
attributes.
I mean,
you know,
I just there's just Darlington Nagbe, like.
Yep.
I mean, like clearly,
GOAT MLS player. Yeah, GOAT type of midfielder. Just is what we need. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we need someone that can control the game. We need someone that is the metronome, can connect the lines, and essentially also score some goals sometimes. I think, I've been harping this for a really long time. We need goals from midfield. We need to spread the goals around. Yeah. And that has not been the case. And midfield is the next best scenario if it's not from your forwards. So
and I mean, like, if he's talking about all midfield, I mean, if he's talking about cam players too, I mean, Almada-esque players. That would be nice to have again, like a Almada level player.
Oh, generational type players.
Fun.
Oh man,
yeah, that would be wonderful. Yeah, that'll win you an MLS Cup. Hopefully, if you actually have a good team around them.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we did not. So
right.
No.
Exactly. Next question comes from Billy Gluckman. How many balls will be frozen off by the new schedule? Probably dozens. But anyway, next question.
We'll get orange balls probably, hopefully.
Yes, and those will not be frozen because somehow they're not affected by weather. It's probably
specifically designed, probably.
Yes. And we know what he was asking there, guys. Yeah. Anyway, Ethan ATL UTD 17s asks, in a world where Joseph Martinez does return, how would you feel about allowing him to wear number 17? And after he is done, the number goes back to the fans again.
All right. I mean, if that's what they wanted to do, I'd be like, okay, that's kind of cool. I don't know if he'd want to do that. Mm-hmm. So that would be my thing. I just don't think he'd probably want to do that. But if they want to do that, then okay, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, it could be like a kind of Michael Jordan, number 45 type of thing, where when he comes back to the team, he switches numbers, and then it'd be interesting. But I doubt it. I doubt that because number 17 is reserved for the fans. He very humbly did that the first time. I doubt he would go to number 17, but and he would also have to take it off of Steven Alzate, so who knows. But next question comes from a number of people. Modest_Moose. That was definitely a reference to Modest Mouse, but Patty Ice _14. They both ask pretty much Walker Zimmerman. Thoughts, or is Walker Zimmerman worth considering as a free agent? Also, it's Don Julio 70 said, should Zimmerman come to ATL? Could he help our back line? Would be nice to have a native, since he is a Jordan native. What do you think about Walker Zimmerman?
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player. His stats last year, as far as I understand, are decent. He's pretty good, with a FBref all in green type thing, that kind of appraisal. So I mean, we already know he's a good player defensively. He's the captain, right, on the team. So it's interesting, like, they're moving on from him, but it is what it is when it comes to that. We know sometimes it's unavoidable. He obviously wanted more, I think, there. That would be a DP easy for us, and I don't think we're gonna do that, because seems to me like he similar, maybe I have no idea. Yep. Around the same level as Stian Gregerson, and we're getting Stian Gregerson for non-DP money. So I would go with Stian Gregerson if I was going to make that kind of calculation, or maybe a Stian Gregerson that, I don't know, doesn't get injured at the drop of a hat. So someone who doesn't cost Walker Zimmerman money, though. I don't think he's going to go down to the level in which we would require for him to come play with.
Right. And let me check his age here, but I mean, I think it is something that's I have my reservations about his profile as a player. I mean, he's 32 years old. It's, not a terrible age for MLS in that sense if you're a defender. Defenders do tend to age a little bit more gracefully, but I think there's something about it as far as he's that kind of big bruising, that tall defender that is good in the box. It is something that we need, but I think we do need some more dynamics in our center back line. I don't know if that's the type of central defender that Tata Martino is going to want as well. I think he wants that kind of, and I think is what we've seen. One that's a little bit more safe, one that's a little bit more adventurous, and obviously you maybe would hope to have a little bit of both in both players, and maybe they can, one can go on a walkabout like LGP, and also, stay home, be that safety valve like a Miles Robinson, or, Parkey kind of was more of just the, just positionally so aware. That's kind of a different player that is, I think, really difficult to find. Maybe a Walker Zimmerman, does add that aspect. I think if he takes a cut salary, okay. I mean, hell yeah. Why not?
It's gonna have to be a big cut though. What is he, like 3 million something or whatever?
Yeah, I don't recall exactly, but I think in any aspect, yeah, he would have to really kind of see if I'm gonna prioritize winning and all that type of stuff. I don't know if we're that destination right now, so it's maybe he wants to play for Tata, and maybe he'll take less. Sure. I mean,
listen, the guy is still angling for United States men's national team spot for the World Cup, and I don't think, if I remember correctly, I don't think he's been on the roster as much. So, I think he's going to want to really make a big move in order to kind of solidify that, or at least not solidify it, but just like really create it more, because it's, like I said, I think he's been kind of less favored. If my read is correct, I don't remember, but I believe I didn't see him as much in the last several international windows. So he's going to want to get back to that, and coming to Atlanta for a cut paycheck doesn't sound like that'll get it done.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of I think roadblocks to probably making that happen. But yeah, next question comes from Ronaldo Dailino. If Joseph comes back and drops an absolute stinker of a season, would you still build the statue?
Oh, I mean, yes, but again, this is the fear, and loathing, right, of getting these players to come back. This is the fear I have currently with Tata Martino being here. It's like, we don't do well with Miggy when he's here. If we don't do well with Tata when he's here, that's like ×2 terrible. And then what do we do next year? Go, oh no, we need to go deeper into this well. Let's hire Joseph. And now he's here, all three of them, and then we still don't do well. That is all three nails in the coffin at that point. Like, I don't know what to do at that point. We should not have gone down this road, quite clearly. I hope that that's not the case. So, yeah.
I think in Miggy's situation, it was a completely different scenario in that respect. Because, I think the situation that he was pretty much signing up for is a lot out of his control. Tata Martino has a lot more control in this regard, and I think his track record, his history of being able to build winning sides really gives me a lot more hope there. Now, as far as Joseph, it doesn't take away his MVP season. It doesn't take away, how he has been revered, in MLS, but also at Atlanta United, of course, and also the numbers that he put up with us. I mean, it's GOAT level in MLS. So,
this guy can walk into any bar in Atlanta and get a free drink. Like, that's the kind of guy. Like, it's always going to be that way.
Exactly. So, I think there's still going to be a statue if they want to do that. But it's that. But next question comes from Matteo Andante. Do you think Tata plays Miggy at the 10 again or on the wing? Obviously, we get asked this a pretty decent amount, but just like a quick little, couple sentences. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think it seems like that's what he's interested in doing. I mean, I think he played him like that when he was here. I think he's probably going to, because the way he talks about it is he's building the team around Miguel. Miguel seems to be the linchpin. So I would foresee that to be the case.
But what that means for Miranchuk, because, I agree with you. But what does that mean for Miranchuk? It's... Man,
Again, you got to look through. You got to see through the weeds a little bit. In that, what they say in press conferences is not gospel. It can absolutely change literally tomorrow because all he's saying is like, well, it's like, we don't have room for Joseph. It's like, that's technically true. What if tomorrow we had room? All of a sudden things change. So you never know, right? So it's the same thing with Miranchuk, same thing with like, well, all 3 DPs, we're going to run with them. It's like, and that's what I'm expecting to be the case. I think he's going to try and mold them to what he's going to do here. But I definitely think once it's realized, between rock and hard place, it's not working out. It's gone. They're going to fix it. They're going to find a way. So yeah, nothing is set in stone when it comes to what people say in press conferences. You got to remember that when hearing these.
Indeed. Yeah, it's a lot of what is termed as coach speak, as termed as just maybe not termed as, but it's placating to what kind of needs to be said versus what they actually mean. But yes, last question. It's a fun one from ATL UTD VIP's favorite bands.
Favorite bands, man, dude. Okay, so I got maybe a couple to go through. These are different parts of my life too, so it's I'm not as much of. So all right, when I was early teen, probably Offspring, Linkin Park, Blink 182. Those were big ones when I was a young teen. Later on, I was really into Daft Punk, Gorillaz. A little bit later, it was Caravan Palace and Muse. Those were big ones for me. Maybe a couple others, but I went through kind of a screamo phase for a little bit, but not that much.
Fun fact: I was in sort of a screamo band. There was different elements of other genres as well. But.
So if you would like to book AJ for a bar mitzvah or small party, he will do a screamo cover band for you.
I was not the singer, but yes, to some people's dismay, possibly. But I like that you did it in different phases. I was thinking about that. I think I'm gonna name kind of just the ones that have prevailed, I guess, in some aspects, because it's I think there's a lot of other kind of more obscure bands that I could dig into, but that's a different podcast. So basically, I think the ones that have prevailed: Outkast. You guys know this if you have watched any episode of Five Stripe Weekly. Deftones is another one that has definitely, I think, stuck around. Massive Attack, another one that's man, it's just timeless music. What else? I mean, I feel like I just had one and I can't think of it. I'm looking around my room if I have it in there. Maybe not.
Oh my God, who was that? What was that? There was that one. We were talking about this recently, and you sent me one, and I forget. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, I might have to look at my Spotify or something.
But... hold on. just give me a second, and I'll find it.
Dig in there. But I mean, so I think those are the ones that have absolutely been those rocks in my listening discography for decades.
Flying Lotus, would you say?
Yeah, Flying Lotus, I really enjoy. I wouldn't say they're the top of the list of favorite bands ever, and that's more of an artist per se because it's just
yeah. It's just that's a weird thing about like bands versus artists. But I also because like Flying Lotus is like kind of interesting, experimental, and it's just an artist. Talking about just artists, like I have a big jazz appreciation, so I'm like I like different kinds of jazz too. So, that's if I wanted to include I can't not include at least a mention of that if we're gonna have like some kind of band music conversation, even though technically you have the distinction between band and artist, but if it's one versus multiple, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like. There's the conversations of, as you were saying, in the early years, like, man, I was huge into punk and ska, and I was in those type of bands. But then I was in a progressive rock band. I was, in those in an indie rock band. So it's
prog rock.
Yeah, exactly. So it's.
So can we book you for a yacht rock type of thing?
Hell no. That is not my speed, nor country. But anyway, so some kind of jazzy elements type of band. Okay, I can get down with that. But anyway, guys, that pretty much is the episode there and there. We went on a little tangent at the end, but if you're still hanging around at this time code in the episode, you're a real one. We love you. But yes, let's get to the question of the day. So the question of the day is, very simply, are you a fan of the MLS calendar change? Let us know in the comments below. Looking forward to what you have to say. But guys, that is the episode there and there. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That's Michael. I'm AJ. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and we will see you in the next video.